Life Audio.
Welcome to the Crosswalk Devotional. We're glad to have you listening with us. Today's topic is about laying down our self-sufficiency, especially when it comes to our New Year's resolutions. We'll return with the devotional after a brief message from our sponsors. Blessed are those who need help with their New Year's resolutions. Written and read by Deidre Braley. Joshua 6, 2-5. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "See, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its king and its fighting men. March around the city once with all the armed men. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times, with the priests blowing the trumpets. When you hear them sound a long blast on the trumpets, have the whole army give a loud shout. Then the wall of the city will collapse and the army will go up, everyone straight in." How do you feel about New Year's resolutions? I've always been pro-resolution myself. My bookshelf is littered with titles like Atomic Habits and 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. I live and die by my physical planner, in which I tend to write detailed lists and demanding deadlines. As a former teacher, I've held the belief that any goal can be met by A, setting the expectation, and then B, working backwards to devise a plan. This time of year, though, the rhetoric that we should be more successful, more productive, and just better all around is really flying, and I enter the season with dragging feet and a deep sense of weariness. Having just spent the entirety of last year trying to create a better version of my life, I am not ready now, in January, to get after it again. Maybe you feel the same way. Maybe our culture of self-sufficiency has brought you some modicum of success even, but you're hobbling at this point, feeling like you can only keep this up so long before you finally snap or collapse or give up entirely. If you're at this point, then good. Swipe your self-help books off your desk and listen up. During his Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said, "Blessed are you who are poor, because the kingdom of God is yours." Luke 6:20. He also said, "But woe to you who are rich, because you have received your comfort." Luke 6:24. I have always understood this as an indictment of wealth, but now, with the two of them side by side, I see. Those who are poor have room to be filled up by God, but those who consider themselves rich by their own making do not. This teaching goes totally against what we've learned to do as pull ourselves up by our bootstraps type of people, yes? Jesus is telling us we should be poor? In terms of self-sufficiency, yes. See, if we spend all of our waking minutes maximizing our potential, doing everything in our power to get ahead, when we do experience goodness or success, we'll naturally say to ourselves, "I worked hard for that, and I earned it." But if we come from a place of need and God steps into our powerlessness and then acts, there can be no denying that God made it happen in our lives. We get to see the kingdom of God at work and on our behalf. Just think of the Israelites at the city of Jericho. Conventional battle wisdom would have told Joshua and his men to muster all of their strength and strategy in order to take the city. And yet, God commanded them to do something different. To walk in circles. To blow trumpets. To shout. Why? So God could do it for them. And so they would know that He was the one true God. And their one true God. Intersecting faith and life. If you've already made New Year's resolutions, take a prayerful look at them now. There's nothing wrong with having resolutions. It's just important to remember that the Lord wants you to rely on Him as you set goals, dream, and work. Ask yourself these questions about your resolutions. 1. Have I left room in my heart to be filled by God and see the kingdom at work in my life? Or have I tried to make plans to do it all on my own? 2. Are there places where I've insisted on control, where God has actually already asked me to surrender? Further reading. For other examples of God's provision for the poor or completely dependent, read 2 Kings 4 and Exodus 14.
The Crosswalk Devotional is a production of Life Audio and Salem Media. If you liked what you heard today, please take a second to rate and review this podcast in your favorite podcast app so that more listeners like you can find the show. For more faith-filled, inspirational podcasts, visit us at lifeaudio.com.
Hello, I'm Adam Comer.
And I'm Ryan Chittister.
And we are the host of Life After Addiction podcast. What we believe is that addiction is not a surprise to God.
That's right. We discuss addiction from a biblical worldview and how true freedom comes through a personal relationship with Jesus Christ.
Absolute freedom from addiction. The secular worldview of once an addict, always an addict is just not true. If you or someone you loved struggles with addiction, subscribe to Life After Addiction at lifeaudio.com.